You're listening to the On the Bounce podcast, the show that is the ultimate source for all MLS fantasy news, tips, and everything else you need to dominate your leagues. Me, I'm JK, and I'm joined as always by my two hosts, Brady and Jarvis. Together, us three make up On the Bounce, and we're here to give you the best advice we can, along with some pretty great entertainment. Now, with all this out the way, let's jump right into today's episode. Of the On the Bounce podcast. This is episode 14, Tuesday morning. We're hitting you with the nice MLS Week 8 recap. Me, I'm JK, and you know who's always with me, Josh Jarvis. How you doing today, bub?
How we doing today, lads? How we doing?
I'm on 10 out of 10. And
Brady?
Now I'm about to ask how our other one's doing. Brady Heinrich, a.k.a. Gravy the Gaffer. What are you on out of 10 right now?
I'm on 11, to be honest. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to get into these fantasy hot takes, lads.
Okay. I heard your hot takes are going to be room temperature today, but I hope I'm wrong.
Hot takes, hot snakes, we got it all. Let's roll.
I like it. That's how you know your body is performing at its peak when you got the hot snakes. It's top. So if you're new around here, guys, thanks for listening, first of all. Second, this is the Tuesday episode. So what we do on Tuesday, we give you a quick recap of the previous MLS week. Then we go over the fantasy recap. We give you our winners and losers, and we hit you with some hidden gems you need to know about. So the intro real quick. Let's just do a quick little MLS recap as a whole. So anything you guys saw over the week that you guys want to bring up and talk about?
Brady, go for it.
Okay, hit us with a hot take.
A hot take? You guys want some hot takes? Well,
Hit me.
it was unfortunate. It was. We called it. Me and Jelly the Donut called it for this Toronto FC Minnesota shootout that occurred.
Facts.
That was a fun game. My Montreal Impact defense kind of fell apart against Philadelphia and FCC. I mean,
Yikes.
ouch.
I was hoping we could just gloss over that.
Yeah,
Let's
me
gloss.
too.
Let's gloss. Yeah, that's
We're
enough
gonna
said.
gloss. Yeah, the only thing that really stuck out to me was how bad LAFC looked Wednesday, and then how
good.
back to normal dominant they were last night.
Yeah.
It was really weird, but yeah, I don't even know what to say. They were terrible Wednesday. Vancouver looked like the team that hasn't lost, and LAFC looked like the team that never won. And then Sunday night, LAFC said, "Hello, we're back. Time to dominate." It was weird.
And then
it was a weird week,
And then Sporting KC took a big L,
dude.
which is
A big
they're
L.
looking in shambles in the MLS. And then
Yeah.
the Crew took a big L to the what we thought was in shambles with Portland.
Yeah.
FC Dallas boys had held strong for 97 minutes, and then it all crumbled.
And then Joseph.
It's sickening.
Irrelevant. They got the win, but not relevant for my fantasy day.
Truth. They're still strong.
Good MLS week. You really can't knock the league because the bad teams are the good teams. Week in and week out, it all changes. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
I have a feeling the
So, yeah.
standings are going to flip big time by the end of the season, to be honest.
100%. They're going to be so weird come the season end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely another weird and wild MLS week. And coming into this next week, week 9, it's going to be another one. We have 10 teams this week that are on double game weeks. It's going to be insane. So make sure if you guys are new around here, you're subscribed wherever you're listening on the podcast, because our Friday episodes, that's when we tell you who you need to start, some last minute updates on injuries, who we like, and some captain's choices. Whew, it's going to be crazy. But before that, and before we get into the fantasy segments, I just wanted to remind you, like I just said, there's 10 teams that are playing twice this week. There's 5 games Wednesday night. So tomorrow night, as you guys are listening to this, be sure you're getting your lineups ready and you know about them. Because this week, you can make a full lineup of double game week, guys, and you don't want to miss those double points. It's going to be big. It's going to be a fun week, that's for sure. So, anything else in the MLS week, or you just want to jump right into winners and losers? Let's rock. Okay. We're going to jump right into you, Brady. Hit us with some of your winners of the week.
All right, lads. Let's start off with one winner this week, Albert Rusnak. Now, this one hurts because He is a winner against our beloved FCC boys. But my guy went off this week. He had 15 points on the back of 2 goals. So FCC's been on struggle street, and Rusnak, he had some kind of opportunistic goals in this game, but it all counts the same. He was the 5th highest scorer in fantasy this week, but you probably didn't have him in your lineup, as he was only in under 2% of teams' lineups this week. So not many people got to reap the harvest, the bountiful harvest that the Rusty Snack delivered this weekend. But this is a cat that has started off the year hot with 21 points over his first 2 matches, and then kind of slowed down a little bit and averaged only about 3.5 points per game since week 2. But he did explode this week and looked very strong. He's still the number 19 in overall scoring this season. He's sitting at 10.5 mil, which is a fair price considering his overall production, but he's kind of been hit or miss. So in his upcoming matches, he's got the Galaxy, the Timbers, and then Colorado for his next 3 matches. So I think he should be strongly considered for most lineups, especially in those Portland and Colorado matches. So keep this man in your radar. The Rusty Snack, Albert Rusnak.
The Rusty Snack. Yeah, he did make a comeback this week, like you said. He went off. Sadly, but he did.
Sadly against our boys.
It hurt, man. All right, Jarvis, over to you. Who is your first winner of the week?
So for my first winner of the week, I'm going with big Raymond Gaddis for the Philly Union boys. I almost put him at as a hidden gem because he's going for $5.9 million, and that's up $1.5 million, or $1.4 million on the season. So he's definitely a bit of an under the radar guy, and for good reason. He hasn't really played that well this season, but the past few weeks he's really picked it up. He played really, really well this last week against Montreal, getting the clean sheet, getting some blocked balls, some cleared balls, a little bit of everything out there. And I'm liking him. I mean, he's been making his way into the starting lineup, so he's going to get the start. He's really cheap, so he's definitely someone I'm looking at for maybe making a quick buck off of, because I think he's going to keep going up. Philly's played well the past couple of weeks, so he's definitely someone to keep on your radar. If you're needing a cheap defender, he's definitely not a bad option. And if you're needing to fill a bench spot up and you got $6 million, throw it on Raymond Gaddis.
I dig it.
My boy. That's my boy.
Yep. Those Philly boys went off last week.
My hidden gem.
Literally, they got hidden gems written all over them. But yeah, that was a great call, and definitely a winner this week. I like it. So moving on to my first winner of the week. It is a guy that I've talked about, I think once a couple weeks ago, Jonathan Dos Santos, the midfielder from LA Galaxy. Now, he had a great week last week, or, this last week. He had 13 points, played the full 90, dropped an assist, and stuffed the bonus attacking points. He had 3 key passes, 3 crosses, and those were good enough to get an extra 2 points. He did have an assist, and this was one of his best weeks since way back in week 3 and 5, and I think it might have been because Alessandrini went down again early, left the game again early, and Dos Santos had to pick up on the creativity. So depending on how long Alessandrini is out, you could definitely make a case that Jonathan Dos Santos at 10.4 mil would be a great pick this week, especially since they are playing a double game week, one against Minnesota United away, and then the second one at home against Real Salt Lake. So Jonathan Dos Santos, 10.4 mil, going to be picking up the slack from Alessandrini. I think he's a great choice this week to be another winner, just like he was this last week. So that is my first winner of the week. Brady, back over to you. Who is your second?
Touching on Dos Santos, those are 2 good matchups as well. That's a hot start this week, lad. I like it.
Yeah, that should be big.
I like it. All right, so we got to mention the top scorer of the week. So my second winner of the week is going to be Edward Atuesta of the LAFC lads, who had 21 big points this week over 2 matches. Nothing too crazy in his first match, just 6 points in that 1-0 loss to the Whitecaps, which was very strange. But a big 15 points coming in their second match in the 4-1 slaughter of Seattle. So Atuesta has been the absolute picture of consistency this season. My guy has been connecting that amazing back line to that awesome front line of LAFC. He's averaging 7.22 points per game, and that's literally at face value. He's only had 2 matches under 6 points. I mean, this is a guy, like I was saying last week, this is one of those midfielders that what you see is what you get, and I think that's really valuable. But with the hit or miss matches for so many of these expensive midfielders that we've been talking about as well, like Valeri, for example. This guy is just worth his weight in gold. He's still only 9.2 mil, and he's the second highest scorer in all of fantasy at the moment, only trailing his teammate, his lad, Captain Carlos. But this is someone who, if you're kind of a lazy lineup setter and you're trying to do it quick, you're not really paying attention, it's like, yeah, throw these guys in. I think this is a great choice for you. Remember, Atuesta. This is an each and every week starter, and you know you're going to get something nice. 6 points plus, an amazing floor at a great value still. He's a big winner this week and a big winner on the year, Edward Atuesta.
Yeah, man, he's been balling, and pretty much all of LAFC's midfield has been balling. And I'm going to drive the segue right into that. Jarvis, who's your second winner of the week?
We're going with his teammate, Mark Anthony K, boys. If you started him this week, you were probably a little upset after that first game because he only got 1 point against Vancouver. And pretty much if you started anyone on LAFC, you were kind of shocked and surprised at how poorly they played against Vancouver. And you weren't too happy about them playing Seattle, but they balled out against Seattle. Mark Anthony K balled out against Seattle, had 16 big fantasy points, 3 assists on the day. Absolutely insane. Looked absolutely fantastic. He's another one of those guys like Atuesta that you can start every single week with no problem. And I know we talked about it a little bit last week when we were talking about the overpriced midfielders. But, man, LAFC's midfielders, they're expensive, but they're worth it. And Mark Anthony K and Atuesta especially are no exception to that.
Yeah, pretty much you can make a case for everyone on LAFC's price point. But, yeah, their midfielders are definitely worth their weight in gold, both playing great. And everybody's playing great. And Lee Nguyen's coming back after his injury, so he's another guy to keep your eye out for in their midfield. So moving right along to the last winner of the week, and that is my second. That is Chicago Fire's new boy, Nico Gaetan. Now, we talked about him the week that he was actually brought into MLS. He's a brand new MLS guy, another guy who has great quality. He's shown it in Europe for many years, and this was his first game where he played a full 90. He scored 13 points, had 2 assists, and propelled Chicago to their largest win of the season, 4-1. He had 4 bonus attacking points, 4 key passes, 3 big chances created, and 1 cross. He was absolutely everywhere. He was creating chances left and right for Chicago, and I think now that he's kind of building up his match fitness, he's got a feel for MLS over the last 3-4 weeks, and he just put in his first 90. He is going to be ready to roll. He's a midfielder, only going for 9.2 mil, and we all know he's got that quality. And this week, again, another guy who has a double game week. He's playing the first one against NYCFC and the second one against Montreal Impact. So he's another guy definitely keep your eye on. 9.4 million, a great midfielder who plays 2 matches this week. Nico Gaetan, a winner of the week. I think I'm going to be saying again next week.
Ooh,
so okay. I like him. Now, shifting over to the losers of the week. It's sad, but we got to bang on some people. Brady, who's your first loser?
All right, lads. My first loser is a guy who's definitely a loser as of late, but I'm not too worried about him in the future. I'm talking about Safir Taider of the Montreal Impact. My guy, he's someone who's really been starting to disappoint just as of late. Their offense as a whole has been a massacre lately with only 2 goals in their last 5 matches, rather. That's a big ouch.
Okay.
Taider's been struggling in fantasy really ever since their scoring struggles began as well. Over the last 4 matches, he's averaged 2.5 points per game. And he was up to 11.9 million at the beginning of that stretch, and now he's slid down all the way down to 10.8 million at the moment, making him the 4th most expensive midfielder in fantasy. Their struggles really began when their star midfielder, Ignacio Piatti, went down. He's in the kitchen, but he went down with a knee injury, and he's not played since week 3. I honestly think once Piatti's back in the lineup, which is tough to tell when, but should be soon, I think the Impact will pick it up, and I think also Taider will have a lot more value as a player, especially since the Montreal defense has become a fortress as of late, having through their last 4 matches ended in a shutout. So I think green and grass is ahead for Montreal and Safir Taider, but for now, he is a loser.
You've said it perfectly. You can't say anything more or less for him. It's sad, but he's definitely a loser this week.
Sad but true.
Jarvis, over to you. Who is your first big loser?
So for my first loser of the week, we're going with Steve Birnbaum, boys, and it's sad because I love him. I love my DC boys, especially that back line, but they had a rough week. They allowed 2 goals, and that's the only points Steve Birnbaum got this week was from playing the full 90. So he finished with a big 1 point.
Ouch.
But not to fear, boys. DC is still going to be a pretty solid team this year, and Steve Birnbaum is still a good player. So I definitely am not worried about him. He dropped $200K this week, but he's still at a pricey $8.8 million. But if you have him on your team, no need to sell him. They're going to be pretty good all year. They play Columbus next, who has been really odd, and then they play Minnesota as well next week. So definitely going to get some points out of Steve Birnbaum next week, but just a rough week all around for DC.
Yeah, it was definitely another weird week for DC and another weird week for a big team in MLS. I don't know if they're good or bad because they've been either amazing or terrible. So continuing on that, my first loser of the week is Lucho Acosta, a guy that we've talked about a ton, but it's time we bring him into the loser's den. He hasn't scored more than double-digit points, not counting the double game week in week 7, since week 1. He's had 3, 7, 3, 3, and 5. So he is playing not great, especially when you're spending upwards of $10.5 million for him. 5 points again last week for him, and the only reason he did that was he played the full 90, he drew 4 fouls, and he recovered 11 balls. That was it. He wasn't creating many chances against a not great Montreal side. So he's definitely a loser this week, but as always, he's got that quality to pop off, and this week they do play a double game week. So if you're willing to risk it, $10.3 million, you can get Lucho Acosta back into it. But I don't know if I am. I don't know how risky I'm feeling about him. It's sketchy. We've been talking about those high-priced midfielders that don't pay out all season long, and here's just another case of it. So he is a loser this week. I'm sick to say it, but Lucho is a big loser. Brady, back over to you. Who's your second loser of the week?
All right, lads. I was livid this weekend. You know why? Because Maxi Morales is an ass. That's why. Maxi is taking a major L this week because my man ended with 5 points. Not bad. But he missed the penalty off the upright that could have given him 11. One of the simplest plays in soccer, and this man messed it up for me in my starting lineup. You know, Morales has been injured partially this season, but his value has been not worth his weight at all. He's currently sitting at $9.7 million. Let me give you some insights here. Of the top 50 highest valued midfielders in fantasy this season, Maxi Morales ranks dead last in points per 90 minutes and is bottom 5 in points per game. This man is also costing you an abysmal $405K per dollar per fantasy point. For reference, let me give him a quick comparison to a rising star, Alejandro Pozuelo, Joey's boy. He's $3 million more expensive in value. He's up to 12 mil. And you know what? He's half the cost per fantasy point at only $207K. This is just quick maths, ladies and gentlemen. Maxi Morales is not worth it to have on your team. He's got 2 games this week. I don't care. He's not in my lineup. Sit him, forget him.
You, once again, can't say it any better. Sit it and forget it. Don't worry about him until he actually put together multiple good performances. But I don't know when that's going to happen.
Probably never.
It's sad.
He's done.
All right, Jarvis, back to you. Who is your second loser of the week?
All right, so for my second loser of the week, this is a boy I was really high on coming into the season. He was my captain's pick a couple of times. Big Yassi Zardes, boys. So the Columbus Crew have been struggling pretty bad the past couple of weeks, and Zardes is certainly no exception. He hasn't scored since week 5 against Atlanta. And they played New England week 6. He had 2 fantasy points. Week 7 at Montreal, 2 fantasy points. And this week versus Portland, 2 fantasy points. And let me read you guys their next few games. Versus DC, at Houston, at DC, versus LA Galaxy, versus LAFC. So they have a pretty rough next month. So it's sad to say, boys, but if you have Zardes on your team, it's time to dump him. Unless you're really banking on him being able to do something in these next 2 games because they have a 2-game week, but not on my team, not for my $8.8 million. He's it's sad. I was really high on him, and I hate to see it go like this, but it is what it is. It's time to get rid of Zardes. You got to know when to cut the heartstrings with players, boys, and it is time to cut ties with Zardes.
You got to know when to hold them,
know when to fold them,
know when to walk away, and know when to run. And it's all of them right now with Zardes. But like you said, he's got a rough month. Maybe after that month, he goes down a ton of value, and we pick him back up on a steal.
There you go.
It could be big.
Could be a hidden gem coming up.
It could be. All right, so the last loser of the week is a guy that, just like Jarvis's pick, I've been high on him all season. I loved him. I'm still having him in my lineup. It was just a really bad week for him, and that's Kelvin Leerdam. Boy, oh boy. You guys all watched it. Sunday night, LAFC absolutely ripped apart the Sounders defense. They scored 4, and on top of that, Leerdam got a yellow card. So he finished with a huge -1 points for your fantasy squad. So you can't score negative points and think you're not going to end up in the loser's den. Come here, Kelvin. You're in here today. I'm sorry to say it. The good news is, if you didn't have him on your roster, he lost value. He went down 100,000, so he's 7.9 million. He's still a great defender, always gets involved in the attack, and you know the Sounders are going to be looking to bounce right back, and they do, of course, like I've been saying, everybody I've picked so far, they do play 2 games this week, and the second one is a revenge game right back against LAFC. That's going to be fun to watch. Hopefully they don't get dumped on again, but who knows. So Kelvin Leerdam is a big loser, and the last loser of the week. So now we're going to jump right into one of the greatest segments OTB has, and that is the Hidden Gems. So this is a segment where we bring you guys that are flying under the radar, had a breakout performance, and that are great value for your money. So we're going to go right into it. Brady, hit us with your first Hidden Gem.
All right, lads, I've got a great hidden gem for you today, and I'm very excited about this one. I'm talking about FC Dallas midfielder Edwin Cerrillo. My guy is an 18-year-old youngster and has really broken through into the starting lineup recently. He's taken full advantage of it as well. He's averaging 80 minutes per game over his last 5 matches, just under 4 points per game. Yeah, nothing crazy, but lads, here's the beauty of it. He's only 4.8 million, and the upside is absolutely enormous. He's coming off 6 points last week against Atlanta United where he played a full 90. I think this man has crazy potential, and honestly, I think he has potential to double his value for the remainder of the season. I think at the very minimum, you put this young boy on your bench. 4.8 million, that's basically just, a scrub play. Instead of just throwing some random nobody in your lineup who costs 4 million, work it out so you can fit someone like this, Edwin Cerrillo, at 4.8 million into your bench at the minimum. He does only have 1 game this week, so this week might be a different kind of play because we've got so many teams on the double game week. But Edwin Cerrillo is a fantastic man to write down, put him in your notes, keep an eye on him because his value is going to be skyrocketing, especially if he stays in the lineup. Edwin Cerrillo, keep an eye on this boy.
I love that pick. And man, FC Dallas has been playing their homegrown youth kids all season long. And they're all good. True. So I love that pick. They know how to develop talent down there. So that is a great hidden gem. Jarvis, over to you. Who is your first hidden gem of the week?
So my first hidden gem, we're going with Ali Adnan, the Iraqi boy for Vancouver Whitecaps. He's a defender. So he's been playing really well these past few weeks. Was able to break into the starting lineup in week 5, and he's been playing well. Like I said, he played really well against LAFC, having 8 fantasy points, and then in the other game this week, he was able to get 4, which isn't anything crazy, but not too bad either. It's this boy's, if I'm not mistaken, he's on loan. It's his first year playing in the MLS. His first time playing in America, but he has some national team experience for Iraq. He's been playing professionally since 2010, so he's no newcomer, and I definitely think you could see him getting the start week in, week out for Vancouver, especially after his performances the past 2-3 games. So keep an eye on him. He's only going for 5.7 million, but I expect that to go up. Definitely not a bad option to have on your bench, make some money, keep an eye on Ali Adnan.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think I'm right. He is the guy for Vancouver that when he came in, he took their penalty, he's taken their free kick, so he's a great set-piece taker. Bad news is he tried to do that Pozo penalty and looked like a fool, so who knows if he's still taking their pins.
Well,
but at one point he was.
Replicating Pozo makes anyone look like a fool, to be honest.
100%.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, you can't fault the guy.
I invite Messi to try it.
Yeah, I mean, he can't. He can't.
Exactly. It's Pozo only. So, moving right along to my first hidden gem of the week. That is a midfielder for Philly Union, Jamiro Monteiro. So this is another guy who's on loan. He's on. I don't remember the club, but it's a Ligue 1 team over in France. But he filled in this week for oh man, I can't remember Philly's star player, the Mexican international midfielder who is hurt. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he filled in for him and did a bang-up job. Scored 9 fantasy points, played 90 minutes, scored their penalty, helped him keep a clean sheet, completed 44 passes, and just overall looked really great. So this is a guy you got to keep your eye on. He's only $6 million, and if he keeps sneaking into that lineup, if he ends up keep starting at the 10, definitely someone to look at depending on matchups, because he looked very creative, very quick on the ball, and he did take the penalty. So who knows how it'll go from here, but he is $6 million, and he does play one game this week. So like Brady was saying, maybe don't pick this guy up this week just because there's so many double game weeks, but definitely got to keep your eye on. $6 million midfielder. Can't go wrong with those undervalued midfielders that actually produce the goods. So Jamiro Monteiro is my hidden gem of the week. Back over to Brady. Finish it off with your second hidden gem of the week, lad.
All right, lads, I'm ready to finish this off. But quickly, I was slow at the clicks, but Marco Fabian was the guy you were looking for.
There it is. Thank you.
But anyways, Jackson Yueill is my last hidden gem this week. Another young boy, young 22-year-old. He's ready to brawl for the San Jose Quakes. My man, a mere 3 weeks ago, was sitting at $4.4 million in value. Now, you might say, has he gone up at all? Well, let me tell you, lads. He has hit at least 8 points in each of his last 3 games, going 8, 8, and 9 this last week, raising his value up to almost $6 million at $5.9 million. This is another guy who's truly broken into the starting 11, and I do not believe will look back. He's a tremendous value, and I think he could also come close to doubling his value this season. Another guy that you have to throw on your bench at the minimum, or a starter, especially this week. This man has a double game week against Seattle and Dallas. Kind of hard matchups, but I think his value will still shine through, and it'll still be a excellent start. Also, FCC and New England are coming up in the lineup right after that. So I think this guy is someone who you can put in your lineup for the next 4 weeks, or 3 weeks, and just leave him there, because I think he's gonna put up some points at a tremendous value and raise your value a tremendous amount as well. Jackson Yueill, you got to throw him in there.
Okay, I dig it. We love the young boys over here on the Hidden Gem segment.
We do.
It always adds an extra layer. All right, Jarvis, who is your final hidden gem of the episode?
All right, so my final, hidden gem of the episode is going to be Justen Glad, who is a defender for Real Salt Lake. Now, Justen Glad has only played 2 games this season for Real Salt Lake. Week 7 versus Orlando, and he had 4 fantasy points, and he had a good week last week at FCC with 8 fantasy points. Now, Justen Glad is a rare boy. He made his debut for Real Salt Lake in 2015, and he's 22 years old now, so I think that would have made him 17 then. He came through like their program. He's homegrown. He has some caps for the U.S. U20 teams, and he's been playing really well. He played 35 matches for Real Salt Lake last year, so it would not shock me at all if Justen Glad works his way back into that starting lineup. I'm not sure if there's an underlying reason on why he hasn't so far, but he's been in there the last 2 weeks. Again, you might want to hold off this week because they only have 1 game, and it is against the Galaxy in LA. So probably not the best week to start him, but keep an eye on this boy. See how see what Real Salt Lake does with him. If he's starting week in, week out, it's worth the $6.1 million to get him playing on your team. And they have some decent matchups coming up after that, so definitely keep your peepers on Justen Glad, boys.
I dig it. That is, if he works his way back into the lineup, that's definitely a big snag. So to wrap up the Hidden Gem segment, I'm going to hit you with a guy that I think you could start this week. That is Toronto FC striker Jordan Hamilton. He is only $5.4 million. He came in last week, filled in for Josie Altidore, who left injured, and this is the reason I think you can start Jordan Hamilton this week. He played the last 17 minutes of the game, scored 2 goals in 2 minutes to turn around Toronto FC and end up winning the game. He pretty much filled in for Josie like nothing ever happened. Pozo and him had the 1-2 like they've been playing for 10 years, and result of that, like I said, 2 goals in 17 minutes. So he is such a cheap option. It looks like Josie's not going to be rushed right back into the lineup coming up this week. So Jordan Hamilton looks like he's going to slot right in to start up top, and anybody that is getting service from Pozo is an immediate start, especially at $5.4 million. At least have him on your bench. Throw him in there for the switcheroo. He does only play 1 game, but it is against Portland, and it's at home in Toronto. So I think you got to go with it. Toronto is one of the hottest teams in the leagues. They score so many goals. And like I said, they got the magician, Pozo, at 10, working the offense. So you can't go wrong with it. Jordan Hamilton, 5.4 mil. Trust me, just close your eyes and add him to the team. Let the miracles happen. It's simple. So that will round it out for the Hidden Gem segments, and that will bring us into the outro. If there's anything you guys agreed or disagreed with in our winners, losers, hidden gems, or if you think we forgot anybody, be sure to hit us up over on Twitter at OTBounce or over on our website. Yeah. You know, switching the game up over on our website and have a seat at otbounce.com.
Heyo.
But other than that, anything we forgot about or anything you guys want to bring up before we close this out?
I'd like to bring up that depending on how you deciphered the bettable, I'm going to say Brady probably won it. Zlatan had more than 18 points for me, but I captained him, so I don't think it counts. But that being said, he's definitely going to have more than 18 this week, and he starts playing tomorrow, boys, on Wednesday. So
yeah,
make sure you keep your eyes on those 5 games that are on Wednesday night, because that's very different. But yes, I have to say, since we won't talk to you boys before Friday, make sure you get Zlatan in your starting lineup this week.
Yeah, some real quick, yeah, make sure you check that, and just real quick, some other big teams that are playing Wednesday, and then of course play again later in the week. DC United, LA Galaxy, Seattle Sounders. Those are the 3 big ones, but like we all have been talking about, there's 10, so make sure you guys do your work. Make sure you're not leaving out those double game weeks, because those points, even guys that are just normally averaging like 4, 5, 6, you double that, you're getting double-digit scores everywhere across your 11. So be on it. Make sure you're not caught snoozing, and that's why you tune in on The Bounce. We got you covered, boys. We got you covered. So I think that'll do it today for me, JK, for Big Baby, a.k.a. Josh Jarvis, and Gravy the Gaffer, a.k.a. Brady for short. We are going to get out of here. We will see you guys back here. What is it, Friday? Yeah, Friday's our other episode. We'll see you guys there. Have a great week. Get them lineups set, and hopefully you start off to a great week in MLS Fantasy. Deuces and gooses.
Honk.